Hey, let's talk about some vintage cards, shall we? Stick around. Hello to all my sports card collector, investor, all of my collectibles friends out there in the universe. How is everybody doing today? It's Tuesday. Normally I'm doing Tuesday morning hobby news, and guys, I'll be honest with you, life has been crazy and I'm all backwards. And so I'm actually going to be doing the hobby news video on Wednesday morning. This is going to come out this morning. It's actually Monday night I'm filming this, but yes, I've got it a little bit backwards. We're going to talk about vintage cards today. I want to look at a few different cards, nothing crazy, and I'm just kind of picking these at random. I don't own any of these cards that we'll be talking about today, but I wanted to look at a few kind of vintage options and just kind of talk through what I'm seeing. I'm going to be using the Market Movers data tool. If you're interested in either Market Movers or Card Ladder, I do have links in the video description if you want to give those a shot. No pressure either way. We're at kind of an interesting inflection point, I feel like, with sports cards, because on one side, you've got kind of the big, like, everything's about to crash and we've got inflation and we've got all these different things. And I hear you. I actually agree with a lot of those things when I'm looking at stock market at all-time highs, real estate prices at all-time highs, collectibles at all-time highs. It's hard to argue those points. It's hard to argue that, like, hey, look, everything is inflated. And so, we're headed for a crash. And then on the other side of the coin, we have massive demand for sports cards where you literally cannot find them in stores. People are fighting in line to get them at Walmarts and Targets to the point to where they're not even selling them anymore. New product. We've got huge, massive money coming into the market, whether it be, Blackstone or, you've got Nat Turner and his group and acquisitions all over the place that are happening. It's wild times. I mean, there's a lot of money flooding in. And it's not even like it's like a few acquisitions here and there. It's all over the place. And so I guess my thing is for these acquisitions, and a lot of people think, hey, these people are going to lose a lot of money with these acquisitions because they're paying premiums based on the last few years being hot. And a lot of people think, hey, that's going to fizzle out. And so who knows? Might be right, might be wrong, but man, there are some big bets going in on collectibles, on the collectible space, whether it be grading companies, auction houses, selling platforms, whatever it is. It's all kind of happening. And so those are really conflicting things. It's like, all right, the entire economy is about to go to zero. But you also have unprecedented demand for sports cards. These are competing things that are like just hitting each other right in the face. It's the Rock'em Sock'em robots. They're competing against each other. And so, it's interesting times. And I think when I look at some of this pricing, whether it's these vintage cards today or that we're talking about today, or it's modern, ultra modern cards, it is a test because it's like you had cards that were fairly stagnant for a long period of time, rocketed up, and then came back down, and now you've got kind of new floors on a lot of stuff, and it begs the question, are we believers? Are we believers? Because there are a lot of cards that are at pricing that we haven't seen in a couple of years. And so it's interesting. It's kind of like, is this kind of the buying point before cards kind of, take off again? Or is it just like, hey, it's going to be stagnant for a while. This was a blip, and we're back down and it's going to just kind of stay the way that it is. It's going to be interesting to find out, guys. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple of baseball cards and a couple of basketball cards. The first one we're going to talk about is the Ernie Banks rookie card. I picked PSA 5 and PSA 6 only because there's more transactions. If I go any higher than that on the grade, then there's just not very many transactions. And frankly, even in PSA 5 or 6, you're not seeing loads of transactions to see price variance. So this is a small data set. Keep in mind that the data tools don't take into account person-to-person sales, in-person sales, card shows, etc. So this isn't defining the market. It's just giving us kind of a guide as to what the pricing has looked like. So keep that in mind. Take it with a grain of salt. So the Ernie Banks rookie card, and that is the 54 tops in a PSA 5. We have recent sales here at right around $3,200. The PSA 6, a little bit more at $4,250, and these are comparable type pricing to what we have seen. There was kind of big movement, and you probably guessed it, back in January, February, March of 2021, massive movement in sports cards. Actually, and it's funny because we talk about the pandemic in 2020, like the big boom of 2020 Really, the big monster boom was first quarter of 2021. That's when we saw some really huge price increases. Of course, you also saw massive price decreases coming off of that for literally 3-4 months, and in some cases still kind of decreasing, but a lot of it is stabilized. We've kind of hit like, another floor for a lot of cards, and now it's just a matter of like, what's next? Are we going to kind of see a lull over the holidays while people are doing holiday shopping, and then it kicks back up again? I'm really curious to see if Q1 2022 is going to be, as big as it was last year. So this Ernie Banks card is kind of, it's shot up to where it was much higher, and then it has come back down to earth a little bit. The Hank Aaron rookie card, also in 54 tops. That card in a PSA 5, recent sale of $6,574. To give you an idea on the height of that card, in March, there was a sale at $11,995. A PSA 6 of this card recently it was $7,599. There was a monster sale at the end of January for the Hank Aaron rookie card in a PSA 6 at $18,331. So a lot of talk about kind of modern, ultra modern price spikes, but there was some huge vintage price spikes as well, and a lot of it has come back down. Now, it's not necessarily back down to where it was, but still just massive increases in that first quarter. And then we'll quickly look at a couple of basketball cards, and I actually just wanted to look at 61 Fleer, just being kind of an all-time basketball card set. I felt like this was kind of an easy one to look at, and a card, actually, this is a card that I have a lot of interest in. I don't have a copy, but the 61 Fleer Bill Russell. Of course, it's not a rookie card of his, but just the fact that it's 61 Fleer, it's a cool looking card too. I like the design of this set. And a PSA 5, over the last 2 months, you've had kind of a range, $1,475 to $2,000 for the Bill Russell. The PSA 6, there has been a few sales kind of right in that $2,500 range. There's actually a sale for this card, believe it or not, in February. So going back to kind of the height, it was almost $10,000 for a PSA 6, the Bill Russell, not a rookie card, but again, iconic set. Bill Russell just doesn't have a lot of cards, frankly. He doesn't have very many cards at all. So even though it might not be a rookie card for him, his stuff is still sought after just because there's just not much. And then the stuff that there is, it's not in amazing condition. So even a 5 and a 6 for vintage cards, if you get a nice looking 6, they can look as good as an 8. That card has come back down to earth a little bit, $9,750 in February. And a few sales over the last couple months at about $2,500. 61 Fleer Elgin Baylor rookie card. And actually, my buddy YouTuber Flipping Steve, I believe he got this in a 3 or a 4. I believe it was a 4 recently. In a 5, you've got the last sale on May 3rd at $888. There's only 89 on the Pop Report. A PSA 6 went August 5th for $2,200. So again, you're just not seeing a lot of sales for these, and that's where it gets kind of tricky. And again, these are mid-grade cards. It's not as if we're talking about 8s, 9s, and the 10s that are out there, which very few, obviously. But these are just awesome cards. Elgin Baylor, kind of an all-time underrated, type player. And he's part of that 61 Fleer set that is iconic. I believe there's only 66 cards or so in that set, so that's another thing. It's like if you're chasing a set of 61 Fleer, it's within the realm of possibility because you're not chasing 300 commons in that one. It's literally 60 cards, 70 cards at most. I think it's 66, 65, 66. But anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on the vintage market? These are just obviously just a few cards that I thought would be kind of fun to look at, talk about. But let me know, are you buying, selling vintage? What are your thoughts on it? Are you just sticking to modern, ultra modern? Let me know. I think that there's a lot of, for me, I love the history of these, and I'm just into a lot of different things. So I'm not into just one particular genre of cards or one particular sport. I'm into a lot of different stuff, but the vintage stuff, I think just the historical elements of it, just a different time period altogether, where you're talking about, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s and the 80s stuff. It's still, it just takes you back and from a different time. So very, very cool stuff. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Guys, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.